The Kenny and JT Show is brought to you by Rooster's Wings and More. Be fun. Be casual. These guys have a lot to say, and they never stop talking.
If I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time?
Sky's the limit and space is the place.
Ooh, yeah.
Live from News Talk 1480 WHBC.
It's a household name.
You understand me?
It's Kenny and JT.
Have a great show!
Just another day in the neighborhood. Turn that damn microphone on. I'm ready to start talking. We're coming to you live in the corner of 6th and Market, beautiful downtown Canton, Ohio. The snow is melting. Kenny, 58 degrees right now in this Hall of Fame city.
I absolutely love the warm weather. Get rid of that white stuff on the ground. I went out today without a jacket, walking Frankie, taking him to do his business, going to the vet and spending a fortune and all that stuff today. Loving every minute except for the bill that the vet charged me.
Yeah, it just happens to be a swamp everywhere you go, but I'll take it because the days are getting longer and things are starting to warm up. And today is the 19th of February, which means I made it another trip around the sun. Let's go me.
There you go. A little pat on the back. Pat yourself on the back there.
Hey, I'm just happy to
birthday,
be here. You kidding me?
Another day
That's right.
Above ground is always a good thing, right? As you hit the big 6'3" now. You got me by, a little bit less than a year because, I was, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But you hit the 63, man. Good for you.
One of these days, I'll start taking advantage of things, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, you know what? Retirement for you and I think by the time we retire, the government will have pushed it back for Social Security to like 75. You know what I mean? We'll have to wait till then if we're going to get our Social Security.
At least it's still there. A lot of people didn't think it would be, so that's a good thing, too.
As far as the hockey game, I've been watching it today.
I hope they don't score so you start screaming again.
Well, hey, that means it's a good – no, you want me to scream.
No,
They're
I don't.
losing right now.
I kind of like my eardrums in place. I'm 63, if you remember. We just talked about that a second ago.
We're down 1-0. The women heavy favorites coming into this gold medal game with Canada, and Canada scored on a shorthanded goal. And for people out there that don't know all the hockey rules, that means the United States had a woman advantage in this case, right? Women's hockey, right? And so you were 5-on-4. That gives you a better chance to score. So what happens? Canada goes down, scores shorthanded. They take a 1-0 lead, and that's where we're at least at this point.
See, it's what I like about hockey. You get a foul, and you come out immediately. It's like you got fouled out for a couple of minutes. I think other sports should be like that. In other words, get a personal foul in football, you should be suspended for like 3 plays. If you foul somebody hard in the NBA, you can be ejected, but why wait till in the NBA 6 fouls? If you foul somebody, go sit down for a minute. Let's go 5 against 4.
You want to change?
I want to change every rule I can.
Huh?
And then maybe that way we won't win 4 games one year, 5 games one year, 3 games the next year if we're in football. Could you imagine if the other team commits a personal foul, roughing the quarterback, and they have to play without a defensive end?
Hey, it would be tough. It would be interesting. New rules, new game. Not holding my breath on that happening, but I am holding my breath here for Team USA. We're at about 14 minutes to go in this game, and they're still down 1-0 for the gold medal at the Olympics.
I'll tell you something else I'm not holding my breath for, and that's the end of next baseball season. I'm reading every day that this might be it. And if they go on strike, your guess is as good as mine if they come back. Now, let's remember, the last time they really went on strike, there was work stoppage before. But if you go all the way back to it, what was it, 94? And who saved the game? McGuire and Sosa. McGuire and Sosa. Now, quit being facetious. McGuire and Sosa saved baseball. Who's there to save it this time if they go on strike for any big amount of time?
Well, and keep this in mind. It may not be a strike. They may be locked out by the owners. Big difference, right?
Okay.
So it's a work stoppage, but you want to make sure we're telling our listeners, the way it's shaping up to go down. I don't know. Who's going to – Shohei Ohtani, is he the savior? Aaron Judge, who's the savior?
I don't think they are the savior because I believe that's part of the problem. Because if they do lock out Major League Baseball, it seems as though now – a lot of the owners want a salary cap. You and I as fans want a floor because we root for a team that doesn't spend any money. It's going to be very interesting to see that if baseball does get locked out or a strike, whatever it is, if it's a work stoppage for any lengthy amount of time, I don't know if baseball can come back. We talk about the pecking order every day on this program. You know, we always consider that it's a football town, right? Even as bad as our football team is, they would make headlines versus the Cleveland Guardians winning their own division 2 years in a row. The Browns have never won their division. Cavaliers, would you consider the Cavs second or third?
As far as the pecking order in Cleveland, they're second. It goes Browns, Cavs, Guardians in that order, in my opinion.
Well,
I think the state of the Cavs is in better position to win a championship, I think, than the Guardians are.
So what you're saying is you're considering the current Cavaliers situation with Donovan Mitchell, not the Cavaliers situation when we're a lottery team. So if the Cavaliers are a lottery team and the Guardians are winning their division, what's the pecking order then?
Yeah, then it's still Browns who suck, Guardians, and then Cavaliers. But unfortunately, no matter what, winning or losing, the Browns seem to be number one.
Isn't it amazing?
It is. It really is. It's a football town. They've not won a Super Bowl. Hell, they haven't even been to a Super Bowl. Their last championship was 64, right? You got to go all the way. But, hey, in fairness, their last championship is sooner than the Indians / Guardians' last championship, right?
Yeah, but
Guardians' last championship when they were the Indians was 48.
Yeah, but the difference is this. It was still considered a World Series victory. Cleveland Browns have never been to a Super Bowl. And everybody wants to look at the current state of football and say in the modern era, if you didn't win a Super Bowl, and then, what was it, last year they came out and they said, oh, we're going to start recognizing those championships. It took that long?
I don't know why it took that long. It shouldn't, because they are NFL champions, right? Super Bowl champions is the term we use now, but you're the champion of the NFL, right? So the Browns were the champion of the NFL in 64, just like the Seahawks are the champion of the NFL in 2025. So carries the same weight, just not the same title, I guess, because of what they created back in, 1967, the Super Bowl. So,
it's amazing.
I give the NFL credit for wanting to go back and make sure those teams are recognized in the same vein as the Super Bowl champions.
It's amazing what a big deal this is. And I don't know if you saw the story earlier. It was announced about 7 hours ago. Myles Garrett is going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I had no idea there was a Sports Illustrated any longer. I thought it was just online.
Is there a printed copy? I don't know. I'm asking seriously. Is there a printed copy of this?
I went to SI.com, and the first thing that it did was open up the first page, and there's a photo shoot, and apparently, your guess is good as mine. Maybe we have to go to Giant Eagle and look in the magazine section. Is there still one? I think there is.
I think so, yeah.
Myles Garrett relied on big dreams and a little self-doubt to become the sack king, being the leader in a statistic bigger than your team.
When you're the Browns, you want something to cheer for, right? And unfortunately, they knew they weren't going to be a Super Bowl contender this year. So as the season progressed and he racked up some sacks, then that became the one. There were two things to really root for, right? In my opinion. People wanted to see Shedeur Sanders for, good or bad. That was everybody was up in arms about that. And then Myles was on track to set the single-season sack record, and he eventually did.
Do we not give this statistic enough credit? I mean, this is not just a regional cover, I don't believe. This is big news in the country. This is big news for the National Football League. I mean, they brought his uniform to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and it's not just because he's an hour away. I think this is bigger than you and I give it credit for.
You know what?
If you throw out the record.
How can you, though? They were 5-12, so that, to me, it would carry a lot more weight, in my opinion. It would be a bigger story in my mind had the Browns gone 10-7, won their last game, made it into the playoffs because he sacked the quarterback and forced a fumble, and therefore they get in the playoffs. He had 23 sacks, which is the record, but on a team that was 5-12. So to your point, is it fair that we're putting him up on the pedestal in a losing season, or should we celebrate him more?
I think that's what makes it a bigger deal. Your team was so lousy, you were able to take down a record that Michael Strahan set, I don't know how many years ago. That's a pretty big deal. And obviously, The rest of the league looks at it the same way. I mean, they could have looked at any other record that went down this year and put that person on the cover of Sports Illustrated in a time where they're not even playing the game. You're going to put an NFL player on the cover of Sports Illustrated during the start of the second half of the NBA season.
I don't know what the basis for this was. There's always a plan for the attack of why they're doing a story. I'll have to look into it more. But remember this, too. Not only Michael Strahan, but T.J. Watt. So those two were tied with 22 and a half sacks. And this is why it was very important to Myles Garrett, because he and T.J. Watt, were drafted in the same class. Myles first overall. I think T.J. Watt 28th overall. And so that's why it meant so much to him, A, to have the record, B, to have a half sack more than T.J. Watt, who he is constantly compared with.
To me, this solidifies the man as a Pro Football Hall of Famer. And let's face it, that's all we talk about on this program. We're so spoiled because of the Pro Football Hall of Fame residency program, where we have the opportunity to sit down with Pro Football Hall of Famers. And a lot of times, not every time, is the individual a champion. So you have to celebrate when they set records, and none bigger than this, obviously.
Yeah, it is one that Deacon Jones coined the phrase a sack, right?
Yeah.
That's when it started to be tracked as far as how many sacks each player gets and then what the single season record was. And, Myles is the king of that.
So at the end of the day, good for him. Kudos to him for setting a record on a lousy team. Let's hope that now that you've got the offseason and a new head coach and maybe a different direction, they can be better. Right. Maybe they can compete. It's going to be interesting to see. I was reading online today that there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of posturing, not only just for free agents, but trades in the offseason. Would you make this deal? And I got this from ESPN, and I believe it was Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. Would you make this deal?
What?
He listed potential trade partners for Eagles' disgruntled receiver A.J. Brown. And, of course, he lists the Cleveland Browns because they've had some success in the first year when they trade for receivers. First year he was here, OBJ was okay. First year they made a deal for Jerry Jeudy. He was okay last year. Not this past season, the year before. And the list goes on. There's a couple of others that had a cup of coffee of success. Not a lot. Browns have 2 first-round picks, 6 and 24. They could use number 6 on an offensive lineman, send number 24 to the Eagles in exchange for Brown. Cleveland's wide receiver room totaled 1,467 receiving yards in 2025, worst in the NFL. Brown's general manager has a history as an ex-executive and a great rapport with Howie Roseman of the Eagles. Please don't do it. Look. If you and I didn't want to trade for James Harden, we look at the first 3 games and say, hey, maybe it's not such a bad deal. But at the same time, we're still pumping the brakes. We want to see a little bit more. Don't go out and get A.J. Brown, please.
I want a rookie wide receiver because that contract is friendlier because you have it, especially if it's a first-round pick, right? You've got him for 5 years at a very friendly price, whereas A.J. Brown, I don't know what his current contract situation is, but, it's probably going to be more than what you'd pay a rookie. And then if he's towards the end of his contract, then you're going to have to lock him up in the $20, $25, $30 million range because that's probably what he's going to be asking for. So for me, I thought you were going to go down this path. I thought you were going to say, could the Browns possibly trade number 6, and get multiple first-round picks for that to go along with 24 and therefore have 3 first-round picks instead of the just 2, and then they can take 2 offensive linemen and 1 wide receiver in that first round.
Problem with number 6 is I don't think there's anybody that really needs to move up and would be willing to give up another first-rounder because I don't know what's going to be there, and I don't know who's going to be jockeying to say that, Carnell Tate's there. We want to move up to number 6. We'll just go get the next guy.
It is a good wide receiver class. It is not a great wide receiver class after the top 3. It is a deeper, I think, offensive line class than maybe wide receiver class. And again, this is based on varying reports, right? I've read one that said this is better. No, this is another report said this, right? So you don't know really who to believe with the mocks as well as these so-called draft gurus and how they rank players. So that's where Andrew Barry needs to be smarter than everybody else. And just ask him. He'll tell you he is all the time.
You don't like Mel Kiper anyway. Going back to A.J. Brown, he's under contract. I look at Spot Track. He's under contract, won't be an unrestricted free agent until 2030. But here's the problem. As I've said time and time again on this program, he's 28 years old right now. He's not quite at that 30 mark where I believe that's the line when you want a wide receiver in the NFL, but he's getting closer to there. And if he didn't like it, and he didn't like playing along with Jalen Hurts, and let's face it, everything that we've heard is a situation that it was kind of finger pointing. If he doesn't like Jalen Hurts at Philadelphia, what's he going to think about who our quarterback might be?
I agree with you 100%. And like I said, bring in a young guy that hasn't established himself, that isn't a diva in the draft, right? And will just shut up and play no matter who's throwing him the football. You don't need other distractions like that. I mean, look at how much of a distraction OBJ was, right? I mean, you don't need another situation like that as you're trying to grow this team, especially with a lot of young guys on it. So, yeah, I would pass on him. I didn't like the move the Steelers made last year. When who'd they trade? The kid from Seattle, Metcalf, right? So I didn't like that because, if I'm the Browns, I'm going with a youth movement. Yeah. Now that Wyatt Teller's gone, they may bring back Joel Bitonio if he decides to not retire, but they're going to have to go O-line and wide receiver in the draft in the first 3 rounds, in my opinion.
Problem with Metcalf is I don't know what they gave up, but they spent too much on him. That's what I don't like for an aging receiver. And then when he leaves Seattle, not only do they get better, but Jackson Smith and Jigba ends up being the best receiver in the league.
Yep, there you go. So, hey, Ohio State wide receivers, for the most part, when they come out, it may take them a year or two, but they establish themselves as that team's number 1 wide receiver. The only guy that's really struggling is Marvin Harrison Jr., but that may go back to his quarterback position, who's playing quarterback with Arizona, and who knows who that's going to be, and maybe there's a way to trade. Now, if you're saying I could trade that 24th overall pick for Marvin Harrison Jr., JT, I'd do that in a heartbeat because he's younger on that rookie contract, and that would not be bad in my opinion.
I want to go back to the Seattle problem, and one of the reasons why Jackson Smith and Jigba didn't emerge as a number 1 is because he was playing basically third fiddle to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. You got to find yourself a wide receiver number 1, and in my opinion, it's not a 28-year-old, whether you want to consider him a retread or not. I don't want to go in the direction of A.J. Brown because you're going down that same path again, and you're right. You need to find someone, develop them, let them be your wide receiver number 1.
Yeah, let's hope that they are able to do that. Let's update everybody. The women, U.S. women taking on Canada, gold medal game.
I know they haven't scored because you haven't screamed yet.
There you go. It's still 1-0 in Canada as we are under 8 minutes to go in the third period. Okay, so hopefully they can get a tying goal. And maybe we go to overtime and see, what their overtime rules are. Maybe they're the same as the men. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. 3-on-3 would be fun. But Canada, JT, just looks like the faster, hungrier team today from what I've seen. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, remember, USA beat Canada 5-0 earlier. But I told you then their top player did not play in that game for Canada. They rested her to save her because they thought they would get here anyways, and they did. Plus, the U.S. has beaten them 7 straight times, so they look hungrier than the U.S.
Well, we saw the same thing with the men from Canada yesterday, and we thought that they had blown out the team that they played from Czech Republic, 5-0. Almost get beat yesterday, had to go to overtime. The earlier game today went to overtime in women's hockey.
Yep.
Switzerland wins the bronze medal in the last minute of overtime over Sweden, 2-1. Let's hope we get one of these ricochet goals and tie this thing and maybe win it before the game ends. If not, we go to overtime.
I believe this is the 8th games in the Olympics where we've had women's hockey. And Canada's won 5 gold medals. The United States won 2. Nobody else has won a gold medal other than Canada and the U.S., and that's going to hold true here today. But, which team gets that gold? If it's Canada, it's their 6th. If it's the U.S., it's their 3rd. But the U.S., an uphill battle, and if it stays this way, you'll love it. You love when they pull the goalie. Well, they'll have to with about 2 minutes to go if they're down 1-0.
Look at you talking hockey. You can tell it's the All-Star break, right?
I love my high. It's the Olympics. It's the All-Star break, and we're all pushing all our chips into the middle here, watching hopefully these ladies come back, tie it up, and then we'll see what happens if they were able to get it to overtime or a shootout. I believe the last time the United States won an Olympic gold medal, they beat Canada in a shootout, which was 2018, I believe. So maybe that's in the cards here today, but they got to get that tying goal to make that a possibility here.
Well, hopefully they can get that done. Cavaliers, again, open up the second half tonight. They'll do that taking on the Nets. Pistons and Knicks tonight, 7:30. Celtics out on the West Coast taking on Golden State. Boston and Detroit and the Knicks are all ahead of the Cavaliers. Yep. Cavaliers, hottest team in the NBA right now. Winners of this could be, 6 in a row?
They're going for their 6th straight and 11th win in their last 12 games if they can get the W tonight. And they should, right? This Nets team is not good, JT. 15 wins all season long. They're 13th in the Eastern Conference out of 15 teams. So, this is a good game for the Cavaliers to get back from the break on and finally getting some work in with James Harden at practice to get on even a better, same page, if you will, with this offense and defense since he was acquired in the trade.
I mentioned that baseball could be in trouble if they go to a lockout next season. The NBA is in the same world of hurt right now because, as we heard Adam Silver say during the All-Star week, is that he's trying to establish a way to make sure that these teams like the Nets aren't tanking to get the lottery picks. It's going to be interesting to see if they make a move here or try to figure out something else. I don't see how they can make lousy teams play each other for the right for a top pick. I don't know how you solve it.
Well, here's what Sacramento has done, right? As they're trying to get that top pick or the highest odds in the draft lottery. 2 of their key guys, don't have to worry about them, load management. They had surgery. They shut down 2 guys, said, go have your surgery, and therefore the league can't question them for not playing those guys. So you may see more of that happening too. And then did you see where Mark Cuban came out and basically took a shot at Adam Silver and said, hey, we should embrace the teams tanking and let the fans enjoy because the excitement is to get the number 1 pick. If you already don't have a chance to win the NBA championship, then what's wrong with teams trying to better themselves through the draft with the lottery?
Because there's no guarantees you get the number 1 pick because it is a lottery at the end of the day. I mean, last year, nobody expected the Dallas Mavericks to end up with the number 1 overall pick.
There you go. And yet, they got it. Oh, wait, didn't they make a trade with the Los Angeles Lakers? Yeah, okay, and Luka went there. Right. So, the conspiracy theorists said that's why Dallas ended up with the number 1 pick.
Yeah, that's amazing, too. So, I mean, I don't know how you could ever, rectify that. And it's weird, too, because in basketball, as we asked Sonny Johnson the other day, what's the status of basketball in the state of Ohio? Obviously, it's not as good as it once was. Darren Peterson again yelled at by Bill Self at Kansas because of load management, basically, at the collegiate level. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle certain situations like that. NIL, transfer portal, you name it. NBA, let them go straight from high school. I don't want to be a Kansas fan and have my best player not play because he doesn't want to take a chance on getting hurt or for whatever other reason he doesn't feel like playing that day. Let them go straight to the league if they're good enough. They've done it before. Doesn't happen all the time, but we've seen players go from high school to the NBA.
Right, and here's the other thing, too. Now that there's the G League, if a player, decides he doesn't want to go to college, wants to, enter himself in the NBA draft, doesn't mean you have to draft him, number 1. Number 2, if he does get drafted and he's struggling, you just send him down to the G League, and that'll be like his freshman year in college, and you let him play down there. So I'm with you. I don't have a problem with the high school kids going straight to the league. It will only be a handful of players, JT, right? It's not going to be, for everybody out there. I would think maybe 5 tops each year.
Well, the other thing they're doing, they're letting them go to the league and keep their eligibility and come back and play college, too. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle all of this.
Yeah, they can't. Once a pro, I think you're a pro. You should be able to go back. That's just me on that. You know what, though? We'll talk more NBA, more Cavs with the radio voice of the Cavaliers. Tim Alcorn going to join us next here on the Kenny and JT Show. Get his thoughts on the trade and the 3-0 start with Harden and what lies ahead for this Cavaliers team as they get ready to kick off or tip off the final third of the regular season tonight right here on WHBC at 7 o'clock.
It's Kenny and Jay